Pretty much since video games became powerful enough to show somewhat detailed characters, people have felt connected to them. Just about everybody has a character they feel linked to, creating an affinity that transcends the game itself and reminds the person of the time in his or her life that is most associated with that character. For most people, it is probably Mario, but for many others, it might be Sonic, Pikachu, Crash Bandicoot, or if your parents didn't love you enough to buy good games, it's probably Bubsy. These characters were drawn on the backs of hundreds of thousands of school notebooks, etched into bathroom stalls, and tattooed onto actual human skin to act as a constant reminder of the meaning that these characters have. And over the past couple years, I've noticed that Mega Man elicits these reactions from fans as much, if not more, than any other character I've seen, which makes me assume that something must be pretty special about the series. So it's probably about time that I actually play a Mega Man game, huh? Shh, I've never played Mega Man X. People really love Mega Man, like a lot. Most of the games are touted for incredible level design, precise controls, and sweet looking character models. Also for being really hard. The main thing that held me back from getting into the series was simply not knowing where to start. I wanted to begin with the original Mega Man, but I was assured that I should only do that if I wanted to be miserable, so I decided to jump into the series with the well-loved Mega Man X. Will it be any good? I mean, probably. Everyone says it is, so Going into a series without any background information can be a bit confusing, but I realized pretty quickly that all I needed to know about this series was that it's about good robots who fight bad robots, and that's pretty much where this game picks up. The intro screen has a message about how a robot named X was trained extensively to be able to distinguish right from wrong, but he shouldn't be activated because despite possessing great potential to help the world, the risk of him harming a human would be too high. Then you start the game and there's X. Without showing any actual depictions of how serious the situation is, it is immediately clear that things must be bad simply based off X being there. He's established as a last resort, so his presence must be the response to something truly terrible. That's really all the motivation I needed to get invested. With that said, there is a fair amount of vital story information that is presented only in the game manual. This creates a slight disconnect between what the player thinks the story is about based on gameplay and what the story is actually about. To be fair, this was made in the era where developers were really just starting to add more story elements into actual games, but it still seemed like an odd choice to have part of the story be told from an external source. However, I didn't really want all that many story elements. Anytime there was even a short cutscene, I got a little annoyed that I wasn't just playing. This isn't because I don't like narrative-based games, because I really do, but there's something about Mega Man that made me not care about anything but the gameplay. It's been pretty well established that Mega Man X is one of those games that teaches you how to play simply by playing it. Enemy placement, various set pieces, and power-up demonstrations inform players of the various ways they can tackle a level. And having finally played it, I can say that, yeah, it does this. Granted, most games, especially 2D platformers that are worth a damn, do as well. But because of the solid design, Mega Man X has a ton of what I'll call my bad moments. Oh, these light things are flying through the stage. I bet one will fly through right as I'm trying to make— oh, my bad. Oh, Storm Eagle flies in the same pattern. If I make sure— my bad. They throw pickaxes— my bad. Falling platforms— my bad. Helmet— my bad. 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 It's hard, and most of the time it's your fault, which makes you feel even worse. Mega Man X seems like a simple side-scroller, but like many other platformers, if you blindly push through a level without stopping to think, you're gonna get killed. You need to take in the surroundings of a level and apply what you know about enemies and the game to be able to beat it. And when you finally do figure it all out, it feels really good and makes exploring the levels a joy. In Mega Man X, you get to choose the order in which you complete the levels. Theoretically, you could beat them in any order, but some paths make more sense than others. Not knowing these paths, I bashed my head against a few levels before making any progress. Eventually, I came across Chill Penguin stage, which is most likely the intended first level because Chill Penguin is a relatively easy boss, and unlike any other stage, there's a mandatory upgrade on the intended path. As is customary in Mega Man games, defeating a boss awards you with a new weapon, which can unlock secrets and make certain areas and bosses much easier to beat, creating a somewhat natural path of progression. With that said, it wasn't all that obvious what this path was. It still took a lot of trial and error, and for a less skilled player like myself, it was really frustrating to get to a boss and not be able to beat him because I didn't have the right weapon. This made me want to look up a strategy guide to find the best path, which really shouldn't have to happen. It would have been nice if there had been hints spread throughout the game that made the preferred path clear. One of the most interesting features of Mega Man X is as you beat some levels, other levels change. Like after beating Chill Penguin, the hot goo, or lava, I guess. In Flame Mammoth stage is frozen. After beating Launch Octopus, Sting Chameleon stage is flooded, and after beating Storm Eagle, Spark Mandrill stage has blackouts. Some of these changes make it possible to reach secrets, and they also generally make portions of the level easier. This element is cool, but I do have a few issues with it. First being, there is no real explanation as to why the levels change. Like, why would Chill Penguin die and freeze just this specific area? I guess maybe he was able to control the cold, and without him alive, the area freezes because no one could stop it from spreading anymore, but that's stupid. it. It would have been way cooler if these changes were triggered by using the weapons received from beating a boss instead of them just happening automatically. Like on Flame Mammoth stage, they could have had you shoot the hot goo to freeze it. Oh, that was a sentence. Or on Sting Chameleon stage, they could have added a dam that the homing missile could destroy. This would have made the changes feel more like a result of things you've accomplished instead of just something that happens. I also felt that there weren't enough of the level changes. Honestly, I wanted beating every stage to bring about change in another. Furthermore, I would have liked if some of the changes made levels more challenging. This way the player could create so many viable and varied paths to the end. Games are often about the journey, and while Mega Man X gives more variation on its journey than most games, I would have loved to see even more. After clearing the first 8 levels, a new set of stages open up. Before I jumped into them though, I went back to get all the collectibles and upgrades that I missed the first time through. This consisted of getting permanent health upgrades, sub-tanks that restore life when used, and a few more suit upgrades, the most important of which increase the power of X's blaster and the strength of his armor. What I love about the upgrades in Mega Man X is that most of them are rewards for exploration and skilled play, opposed to something that you just get. The majority are tucked away in each level and guarded by some challenge. It might be timing a difficult jump or defeating a strong foe, but it almost always feels deserved. Once I was equipped with everything I could get, I was on to the final stages. At this point, I was under the impression that Vile would be the final boss based off how bad he kicked my ass in the beginning. In fact, I thought Vile was actually named Sigma because Zero says the name right after beating him. Due to all this, I was a little confused when the new level had this guy's face on it who clearly isn't Vile. This, as most of you probably know, is actually Sigma. There's a fair amount of information about his villainy in the manual, but as far as someone just playing the game is concerned, Vile is set up to be the primary antagonist when he isn't. This would have been a fine bait and switch had it been intended, but it's pretty clear that it was not. Anyway, the first new stage ramps up the difficulty a bit, primarily because of this section. Even after I realized I could use the charged rolling shield to kill all the enemies that came my way, I still struggled. Aside from this part, the rest of the Sigma levels aren't all that memorable or difficult. Pretty much these stages consist of fighting all the bosses you took on earlier in the game for a second time, along with a few new ones added in. I found this fairly easy because I knew all the bosses' weaknesses and had all the upgrades, but it was a lot of fun to quickly dominate all the enemies that gave me a lot of trouble earlier. While this section is a little underwhelming, it does a good job of making it clear that everything is ramping up to something bigger. And that is where Sigma comes in, who, as a final boss should be, is the toughest enemy in the game. Sigma starts by sending out his pet dog, and once that is done, he comes at you with a lightsaber. These fights were hard at first, but once I figured out the pattern, they were easy and even a little boring. However, Sigma's final form is a real challenge. He constantly doles out a barrage of attacks that do loads of damage that will make you blow through your sub-tanks fast. What's a little annoying is if you lose, you need to refill your sub-tanks by using the charged rolling shield to grind against this spot of worms. Yes, it's smart to have a design feature that allows you to refill your sub-tanks, but why not make it quicker? Why not have some sort of charging station similar to Super Metroid? It isn't rewarding or fun to kill these worms, it's just a time-consuming grind. But despite the preparation part, this fight is a lot of fun. The final form had me freaking out the entire time. I also found it pretty funny that the rolling shield ended up being Sigma's weakness, because throughout the game it is definitely the lamest basic attack, so it was cool to see it be used in a meaningful way. And like that, Sigma's defeated. X runs left for a while, and then room is left open for a sequel. Spoilers, there are sequels. While playing Mega Man X, I had a big dumb smile on my face pretty much the entire game. There were definitely things in regards to story, theming, and mechanics that I thought were questionable, but when a game does a few things really well, it's hard to get too annoyed by the stuff that just misses the mark. I now want to know what other Mega Man games have to offer, so I can see what inspired this, how this changed the series, and above all, why Mega Man has fallen off the map. But I did it. I played Mega Man X. Do I get something? Is there like a club for people that have beaten super popular games? No? Cool. Thanks for watching. I really love making this series and I hope you enjoy it too. There are a ton of games that I haven't played yet that I really should have by now, so expect more from this series in the future. In the meantime, you can check out other videos in the series. Here's one about Super Metroid and here's one about Castlevania. Anyway, I appreciate you. Thanks and have a good day.